All right, first and foremost, I would like to give all praises to Yahweh by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Dash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and salutations to brothers pushing His word, truth, and sincerity. Now, coming back with another video. So it's trending, okay? It's trending. Now, this article or this video will be based off an article, but it's an article, but it's a video, and right here is just the synopsis basically of the video. I was watching this video earlier, and you have this Gerald Celente, which he's a economist. He's an economist. He comes out with the Trends Journal, which he speaks about future trends going back decades. All right, and before something happens, there's a trend, there's a lead up to it. The people have to be sold into it. And that's kind of what they're speaking about. Now, he mentioned in this video, he mentioned William Casey, which was a former CIA director. And back in the 80s, he said this particular CIA director said, and I did a video on it, it's probably in my archive, but he said, "We will soon know that our disinformation campaign is complete when the public does not know what to believe in." All right, so that's the agenda that they're pushing. That's why, there's always continually scandals and psychological operations that they're running on the general public, upon the people. All right, because they're going to push they're going to implement their agenda. All right, and now this is the buildup. This is the trend. The trend is Mexico's CURP ID, CURP. ID. It says nightmare, gold soars as spy economies expand. All right, so in this video, he was mentioning how that these these top central banks, they're buying up gold because they see that all the federal I was thinking about the Federal Reserve Note. The Federal Reserve Note is a fiat currency. The central banks of the world, all of these central banks, whether it be the European Central Bank, the Japanese have their central bank, Chinese have their central bank. They print out fiat currency, but behind the scenes, they're buying up gold. All right, that's causing, one of the reasons why the gold prices are going up. All right, and gold prices were steady for certain periods of time, but now it's just climbing, just like silver. All right, silver spot prices right now for an ounce of silver. Remember, Elder Apostle Tahar did a video a while back. He was telling brothers about silver. Now, back when Elder Apostle Tahar did that video, silver was probably about in the range of between maybe $23 to $30 an ounce. Right now, it's $50, $50+ dollars, about $52 an ounce. All right. The last time I remember silver being over, it was two times in particular. It was a recent time, but I'm not sure about the second time where it was, but I remember the time back during the Obama administration where silver shot up to like $48, but it went back down and it went under $20. But now it's back up to $50. Okay, a few months ago, people were complaining about, or the dealers were complaining about silver, so on and so forth. But now the prices are shooting up, basically. And silver is a commodity that is used a lot of electronics, a lot of electronics and different. There's many different uses for silver. All right. In products and so that's a commodity that's going to be more in demand, and people are, the economists was always talking about, gold's going to jump and silver's going to jump, so we're in a time of economic uncertainty, so we're going to see, where money is going, because you gotta move money. You can't keep money in the bank. Money has to go somewhere. Money has to go into assets. And that's what's going to drive up the price of these commodities, where the average person, the poor toiler, is not going to be able to afford these assets, okay? And ultimately, everything is going to be wiped out by the implementation and the making it mandatory of the MOTB system. So even if you think that you have some assets, they'll be outlawed. Now, back in the time of the Great Depression, okay, you had the New Deal with Franklin Delano Roosevelt, which another thing I'm referencing this video right here. Now, Gerald Celente tells his story of his grandfather basically fighting with his father in regards to giving his silver up. All right, which that's they robbed the American people. All right, giving up their real money for fiat money. All right, and then what happened? The elite international bankers, all that money that was transferred, the wealth that was transferred from the American people, just like it's being transferred now. But now, in these times, or all that wealth back then during the time of the Great Depression, all right, and the New Deal, those people unwillingly, or willingly or unwillingly, whether it be ignorant or, through the threat, because back then it was a threat of being arrested if you held precious metals, if you hoarded precious metals. But they relinquished their real wealth to the elite international bankers, okay? And then back in the 70s, they call it the money was taken off the gold standard, okay? So basically, they just transferred the wealth from one people to another. See, people don't lose money. Wealth is just transferred. All right. And that's what the elite international bankers are doing. They're in the process of finalizing their transfer, okay, of the true wealth of assets, and true silver and gold from the people. Okay. But they're going to give you a MOTB. All right. They're going to give you a central bank digital currency. And all the things that you have been told to believe that is your stability, or is your what is the word that I can use? All right, is your safety net. Okay, that's going to be put on that MOTB. So whether it be your health care, everything that you went to these politicians and they told you this is what the voter was talking about, is going to be on that that information is going to be tied to that MOTB. But first, the central bank digital currency, which they say CBDC. So what's trending is all of these different countries are setting up a CBDC system, a CBDC, central bank digital currency. All right, to basically get their citizens, all right, in that net, okay, of the elite international bankers. So when they're ready to bring forth everything together, everybody's online. You can merge these systems, all of these systems together, and you can have one system, okay? So it says, trend forecaster Gerald Celente warns the world is hurtling towards total financial surveillance, with Mexico rolling out its biometric curb system. Okay, so not only is the UK doing it, the UK tightening it up, but now Mexico is rolling it out. And back when this guy Biden was in office, there were talks of it. And Biden, the former president Joe Biden, what he did was he signed an executive order to look into the technology of central bank digital currency and the findings. Okay, so now you put the preceding president in office, which would be DJ Trump. Okay, now he's gonna capitalize, okay, or he's in a seat of authority when these measures are going to be implemented. Okay, it says the UK tightening digital ID requirements and the U.S. poised to follow. Okay, so the United States is shortly behind to follow, because this is the trend. Okay, this is the trend. This is what everybody's doing. Okay, just like artificial intelligence. Okay, you have these different companies, they're utilizing artificial intelligence. All right, they're phasing out employees. Okay, this is the trend. This is what's happening. This is what's moving. Okay, it says every transaction track. Matter of fact, I skipped. It says U.S. poised to follow. Celente says central bank digital currencies will give governments complete control over the people. Yeah, because all your information, and there's a record of every transaction. There's a record of every purchase. Okay, and now, if you do app work, if you do app-based work, okay, you know that once you're on the app, there's always an update on the app. All right, you don't have control over. Well, some apps, some companies give you a little more control over what you're able to pick, but I know specifically on Uber and Lyft, you don't dictate what rides are coming into you. You get what they give you. Okay, so if they want to change up the algorithm and how you receive payments, if they want to change mile distance, if they want to change the pay, they can do that. And it's really nothing that you can do, but just accept it. And it's going to be the same similar program with this central bank digital currency. There's talks of you having different limitations and times, or different limitations of what you can spend your digital currency on, where you can go, where you can spend. It's complete surveillance. It's complete tracking. So you give more central authority to these different governments. Okay, so basically there's no freedom anymore. There's no privacy anymore. All right, it's basically like we say one of those totalitarian leaders of yesterday's generations, like Stalin, Hitler, or the H-man. You would say that that's their wet dream. Basically, they would have loved to have a society like that, a totally controlled society like that. It says every transaction track, every penny, every purchase, every location said will vanish financial. It says will vanish financial privacy. All right, so if you like to spend your money at the strip club, or whatever, whatever things that you like to do, that this world would deem uncivilized, so to speak, it could be tracked. You want to buy women, you want to you want to subscribe to taboo things. It's going to be tracked. Not saying that we do that, but it just diminishes privacy. Hey, drugs, for instance, people buy drugs. All right, hand-to-hand transaction. Now people use Cash App and stuff like that, but now everything's going to be tracked. Everything can be tracked. Okay, because Esau wants all his coins, man. You're not going to be able to do transactions. Say, for instance, you got a mechanic, and you just want to pay a mechanic. You have to do transactions on their platform. And this is what it's about. So like I said, going back to those apps that you're dealing with, they malfunction. All right? Sometimes your app will be down. Anything can happen. So once they put you on the system, you'll go to the store and you might not be able to access the products that you want because there could be limitations and boundaries or things that you can't do. Okay? It says every transaction tracked, every penny, every purchase, every location will vanish financial privacy. Coupled with 337 trillion in global debt and AI-driven oversight. So not only you're not going to have, Well, basically the oversight is going to be by AI, all right? And pretty much you really can't dispute with the AI. Not to mention on these apps too, you got to go through AI as a gatekeeper. You can't really necessarily go to a human and speak to a human and convey with them the problem that you're facing that's affecting your day, you know? So this is another boundary that Esau Edom is going to use as a wedge, all right, to separate him from the problems that he's creating. AI, all right? Now, let me go to, real quick, I wanted to go into, pull up another tab. Let me do this real quick. I'm going to put this in here real quick. So we put it in the biometric curb system. And down here it says the biometric curb is a new identification system in Mexico that integrates a person's biometric data like fingerprints, iris scans, and photos into their unique population registry code. All right, so basically this is it's a form of a census that this devil is setting up. Okay? He's accounting for all the people to be on his financial system so that when they go and implement that MOTB, when all this information, all right, that's on this card, all right, when all this information is on this card, okay, and then the card phases out and he used this MOTB, Revelation 13 and 16, to actually put it in the people, all will be accounted for. You won't have any choice. It says this system aims to serve as an official ID for digital platforms, government services, and legal processes, with the goal of reducing fraud and aiding in locating missing persons. The transition has raised concerns about data privacy and security due to the centralization of sensitive information, leading to some legal challenges and ongoing debates about the necessary safeguards. So these concerns that are being raised now about privacy, data privacy and security, okay, in centralized locations, the things that may pose some legal challenges, okay. In the future, they say, well, look, we're just going to do away with it and we're just going to put it within the person. It says how the system works. Biometric capture. During a one-time process, individuals have their fingerprints, iris scans, and photographs taken. An electronic signature is also captured. It says this biometric information is linked to the curb and stored in a centralized database. The physical card will include a QR code containing the biometric data. Digital and physical formats. It says the biometric curb will be available in both physical and digital forms. See, it will be available in both physical and digital formats, with the digital version usable for online identity verification. Mandatory use. It says the new system is slated to become mandatory, requiring public and private entities to accept it for identity verification in various sectors like banking, healthcare, and justice. All right, and that's how they move. All right, because the main sectors that they're going to push and focus on and hone in is going to be banking, healthcare, and justice. Okay, and that's how they're going to get the people that deal in these, that operate, that work in these sectors, to accept it. All right, these people are going to be the first ones to embrace this system of biometrics. All right, whether it be a banker, executive, a bank exec, a police, Anybody that's tied within law enforcement, healthcare, doctors, nurses. That's how you segment the population and have them accepted. It says objectives of the system: reinforce identity to provide a more secure and authentic form of identification, mitigate fraud to reduce identity theft and other forms of fraud, aid in locating missing persons. Okay, and then it goes down to the concern and the challenges. Okay, so this is happening in Mexico. Okay, this is happening in Mexico. Now I wanted to bring this precept out. Okay, and this is the book of Psalm 2:1. It says, "Why do the heathen rage, and the people imagine a vain thing?" Okay, why do the heathen rage, and the people imagine a vain thing? Now, when you go into the word rage, okay, why do the heathen rage? We got the word there, ragash. There's a ra, ga, and a sha. Ragash. Okay, so that means to be in a tumult or commotion. And then there's another definition that says to conspire, plot. Okay, because this, what it is it's a conspiracy. All right, it's a conspiracy. All of these nations, okay, all of these countries are basically doing this. All right, this is the trend. Going back to the Trends Journal, this is the trend. Central bank digital currency, no more privacy, no more individual rights. All right, everything basically that we were told growing up in these times is being done away with. All right, America the free, the home of the brave, yada, yada, yada. It's turning into the home of the slave, the coward. Okay, the one that will bend over. Okay, but not only is America doing this, or not only is America poised, according to the article, poised to follow along with this, the whole world is doing this. Okay, but America and the ideologies of America, okay, and the people, what they've been grown to believe, what makes America great, these so-called liberties that they give you. Well, not so-called liberties, liberties that they give you. They tell you that you get freedoms. Well, no, they're liberties, and they're being shown to be liberties because the government is taking these things back. All right, the things that, or the New Deal, going back to the New Deal, Social Security, different benefits, social safety nets. These things are being done away with. Okay, and this is what your grandfathers and your grandmothers, okay, of yesteryears, they call it the silent generation, or they were duped. Okay, they were duped. All right, they relinquished their gold, they relinquished their wealth for a new system, and we're coming into the end of this system, the Federal Reserve System. So now they're changing over everything digitally. Okay, and the Most High have saved the best for last. Okay, I'm gonna read it again. It says, "Why do the heathen rage and the people imagine a vain thing?" All right, now when you look at the word vain, it means nothing, empty. Let's do this real quick. Go back. The people imagine. That word is Haggah. Right, it says to moan, growl, utter, muse. It says meditate, devise, plot, speak. Okay, plot. They devise. All right, this is a device that they're bringing into the earth. Okay. And ultimately, it's vain. That word for vain is ra'ik. Ra'ik. right? So it says emptiness, vanity, empty, idle, vain. Okay. It says to no purpose. All right, because this is going to be short-lived. All right, especially when they implement that MOTB. All right, it's going to be implemented. All right, a lot of people are going to take it. Okay. And what I'm going into, these different systems, like the CUS system, what they're implementing in UK, in the United Kingdom, that's the prerequisite. Okay, it's the prerequisite, because you're counting the individuals. You're gonna have people that are gonna be against it, or you're gonna have a resistance. All right, but for the people that resistant, for everybody that resist, all right, this push for those digital IDs, you're gonna have a number of people that's gonna take it, especially people in higher education, people in particular in those different sectors, those different business sectors, especially i.e. banking, healthcare, law enforcement. Okay, because you target sectors where people work. Okay, and that's what Esau Edom is going to do. He's going to target sectors, and then you make it beneficial for the poor, because then you give them benefits. You do this, you can get this. You do that, you can get that. If you don't do it, you can't. You don't qualify. All right. Now let me bring this this other precept out real quick, because Psalm Golden Cup. This is Jeremiah 51:7. It says, Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. Okay. So this system that is coming, all right, the Most High, Yahweh Bashim Al-Shai, all right, have made Babylon a golden cup. So you see that these nations are lining themselves up for this new system. All right. But Babylon is that golden cup. America is that golden cup that the Heavenly Father is going to use. Okay. Or that he's using ultimately to make these nations drunk. All right. With the philosophies. All right. That are going to be pushed out there to have these people embrace this new system coming. Okay? Basically, the Most High is using America, or has been using Babylon the Great, to have this system set up, all right, so that the nations can be angry, all right, and the nations can basically turn on this place. Okay, Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. All right, drunken with those philosophies, the democracy. Okay, you've bought into her foreign policy. You align yourself for trade and to make money with Babylon the Great. And it has become a detriment to these nations. That's why they have to take on this system. Okay? It says, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore the nations are mad. Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. And that's how the destruction of this place is going to come. It's going to come suddenly. Okay? This is how for her, take balm for her pain. If so be she may be healed, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her and let us go every one into his own country, for her judgment reacheth unto the heavens and is lifted up even to the skies. So when Babylon is destroyed, Scriptures speak of the smoke of her burning. You know, the merchant seeing the smoke of her burning far off in fear and in torment for what the angels and Yahushua have done to Babylon. All right, but Babylon sits as a golden cup in the Lord's hand. All right. Babylon is being used, all right, to bring these nations in subjection to this new system. All right. So by the collapsing of Babylon the Great, all right, it's going to destabilize these other nations. All right, which is going to cause trouble and turmoil. And these wars that are created through the foreign policy of Babylon the Great. All right, especially this coming Third World War, by them aligning themselves with Amalek. Okay, that's another thing that's going to anger the nations. And how Babylon is going to be suddenly destroyed is going to be by a sneak attack, even by their own allies. Thermal ICBM missiles. Okay, which the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shah is going to be on those missiles. All right, to hit and to make their mark. All right. But I wanted to end the video here. I'm gonna end the video here. It was where that information was edifying. You know, if it's coming to Mexico, if it's going to be next door, you know it's coming here. All right, you know it's coming here. All right, and this is what we've been waiting for: the Lord's service, the prophets, the fulfillment of the word of Yahweh Shema Shah coming to pass in our lifetime, and the restoration of Israel. All right, starting with the elect. Okay, so I'm gonna end the video here. Call Halal Yahweh Bashim El Shai, Bashim Kakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Salutations to you brothers pushing His word in truth and in sincerity. Until the next video, Shalom.